Hockey town, going down to hockey town, whoa, whoa. Hockey town, take me down to hockey town, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hello, hockey fans. We're on the air, the Minnesota Hockey Connection Show. We're at PACT-TV Studios. I think it's January 24th, 2022. Boy, what a week of hockey. It was Hockey Day, Minnesota all week down in Mankato, and I tell you what, all the football games this weekend, and I tell you what, the funniest thing I was at the Wild game, the Minnesota Wild against the Blackhawks on Saturday night, and I hear this big cheer go up, and all of a sudden the whole stadium almost got on their feet and standing ovation. I said, what's going on here? Just found out the Green Bay Packers lost. It was crazy. But yeah, a lot of hockey, a lot of big games with high school. Colleges are back, and looks like the COVID settled down a little bit with the sports teams right now, and that's good because a lot of the high schools have to make up a lot of games. But let's start with Minnesota Wild. The Minnesota Wild won both games against the Blackhawks, and Saturday night, I tell you, how they came back again. How many times have they done that this year? Someone said there was 11 times they pulled their goalie and tied the game this year. So that means how many minutes did they go without no shots on net when they pull the goalie? That is just the most amazing thing I've ever seen in hockey, how the Wild are doing that. But Hockey Day Minnesota was down in Mankato, so it was a big day down in Mankato. They had Mankato East and West play on Friday, and then Saturday the big game was the girls' game, number 1 Andover against number 2 Edina, and Andover won 4-0. And then the boys' game on Saturday was Prior Lake 7 and East Grand Forks 1. I was wondering why they put a big Class 2 AA team against a Class A team in that game, but they did it. I guess the score showed it too. But then Minnesota State and College beat St. Thomas Tommies in D1 game down there, so it was a big crowd. They had 9,000 people at those games on Saturday. And to do that, someone told me they had over 500 volunteers. And this was all done at the football stadium. What is it called? Blakesley Stadium. But they did a great job, and they said it was one of the best Minnesota hockey days ever. And I've been to most of them. I can remember some of the times, like up in Burdette the second year, or Grand Rapids, when wind chills were 40 below plus. And it was crazy how you can stay out there during those games, and we did it. But a lot of games where the weather wasn't good, where it was too warm. Duluth, Hermantown, Moorhead started melting the ice. And those were rough weekends too. And then Minnetonka, they were going to have it right on the lake, on the bay there, and all of a sudden they decided that the weather wasn't good, and so about a week ahead of time they decided to go inside on their regular high school stadium and do it inside. The only time that has happened. But it's been another great year for Minnesota Hockey Day, and they already planned for next year. They already picked the city, and it's going to be White Bear Lake 2023. So good luck to them, and that's a big hockey town, and a lot of kids play hockey, one of the biggest associations in the state. So next year, plan on White Bear Lake for Minnesota Hockey Day, Minnesota. The Wild are in the playoff picture right now, and they're going to be making up some games that because of COVID and the Canadian teams couldn't come over the border for a while there, so they're gonna have a schedule a lot of games in February since the pro players cannot play in the Olympics, and so I think Minnesota Wild will have make up about 4 games in February, the games they missed already. And so they will have a busy schedule in February too. So look forward to those games coming up. And let's drop down to college. College, UMD split down in Omaha. They won the first night, and then they didn't look too good on Saturday night with Omaha. The Mavericks took it to them 4-0. But they're still number 8 in the pairwise, so they're still in a good shape, but they got a big schedule coming up. They got the number 3 team in the pairwise, Western Michigan, coming in to Amsoil this weekend, so they got to split that series. And then they got a makeup, I think, out in, no, they go down to Miami of Ohio. Then they come back and play St. Cloud State at St. Cloud State in that makeup series because of COVID. And then they come home and got North Dakota. Then they go out to Denver. These are all top teams. Like Denver's number 3. Western Michigan's tied number 3. We got St. Cloud State number 6. So they got 8 games with those 3 teams for the rest of the season. Then they got Miami of Ohio, which this time they should win both games if they play their game. But the Olympics are starting February 3rd, and the UMD is going to be missing probably their best player, all-around player, let's say, Noah Cates. He made the Olympic team, and good for him. And you got to go to the Olympics if you have a chance. So we'll see how a lot of these college kids will do playing in the Olympics this year. It'll be a little different, but I guess we go back to amateur like the old days when Miracle on Ice, when they were all college kids. So other teams in Minnesota, the Minnesota Gophers, they beat Michigan, and then they lost the second night. And I don't understand pairwise when this happens, but Minnesota went down to 11 in the pairwise on the split, and Michigan went up to number 1 with the split. Doesn't make any sense. So, like most people, I don't understand how they figure this pairwise out, but they go by that for the top 16 teams. When it comes to the regions, only 16 teams make it in the 4 regions. So hopefully UMD, the Gophers, Minnesota State, and St. Cloud State make it. So we can have 4 Minnesota teams, 1/4 of the teams get to the regions and have a chance for the Frozen Four championship. Juniors, well, we had a assistant coach, Brendan Phelps, on last week, and we were talking, but they're right in the midst of trying to make the playoffs. They're right in the middle there, where there's 4 teams that are trying to make that 4th team, and the Minnesota Wilderness was playing Minnesota Magicians 2 weekends in a row, so 4 games, and it so happened they won both games again this weekend, so they won all 4 games against the Minnesota Magicians. Now they are in 4th place by 1 point. So, hey, Brendan said they got some of their players back, and maybe this is a good sign that they can play their next 22 games the way they've been playing the last couple weeks and win majority of the games and make the playoffs. And a chance for the Robertson Cup in May down in Blaine, where there'll be 4 teams coming in there out of the 29. So good luck to the Wilderness, and see what happens. And It was, I went out to the game on Friday night, and boy, the up and down action. So fans, look at the schedule in the NAHL and check the Wilderness schedule. And hey, there's some big games coming up. They got Fairbanks coming in about 3 weeks, and they got what's the other team that's I know Chippewa Falls I think's coming in on for a game. So you got some big games, and get out there and see some really good hockey. And it's at the Cloquet Northwood Credit Union Arena. So get out there. High school, boy, there was a lot of big games this weekend. Rosetta was up northwest and playing Canadian border towns, Rosal and Railroad, and they beat both of them. So Rosetta, like the last 5 years, I'd say, they're coming on at the end of the year, and they're going to be a very tough team. I think they have to play Edina, though. Edina's a very good team, too. So, boy, the section playoffs is only in 3 weeks, and my best time of the year watching the high school playoffs in the state tournament, where a lot of my friends come back from different states for just to see the hockey in Minnesota at the state tournament and have fun with their friends. So, boy, next week maybe I'll on my website I'll put down what I think is going to be the top 2 teams in every section at this time. But going back to high school hockey, Hill Murray, one of the better teams in the state and one of the toughest schedules, lost their goalie. He dropped out of school, and it was something he did that we don't know, and I really don't care. But they lost one of the best goalies in the state, and I wonder if how much that's going to hurt their chances. And like I was talking last week, I think the state is hurting on goaltending, especially in high school, where there's probably only about 5 elite goalies I see right now in the state. I could be wrong on that, but I wish there was more goalie camps and more goalie coaches, so every school can have a goalie coach and get some better goalies coming out of Minnesota, because that's one thing we've lacked. I always wondering why Finland and Sweden, countries that our population is bigger than Finland, but they get 10 times the goalies coming out of there. So you're wondering what they're doing, and we're not. So next week, we're going to have a guest that does goalie camps up here now. And it'll be very interesting what he has to say about goalies and what they have to do and what the Northland goalies have to do, because the Twin Cities has all kinds of goalie camps. And we got former Duluth Denfield and All-American at the Minnesota Gophers and played for the LA Kings, Robbie Stauber, with his goal crease, one of the better camps in the state. And so Terrace Lenzik will be on next week, so as a guest. So it'll be very interesting talking to him about goalies. Let's go over some rankings. I'm going to start with Class AA, Class AA. We got Cretin-Durham Hall, number 1. And most polls are having Cretin number 1. Number 2, I saw them on Saturday afternoon, and Andover is number 2. They played Centennial, which Centennial is a lot better team than I thought, and they can give anyone a problem in a one-game series. I'm not series, but one game. They can beat anyone. Number 3, Hill Murray. But now without their goalie, the starting goalie for the last 3 years, you're wondering what's going to happen. But we'll see. There's another Erickson kid, not related, that's the backup goalie that's playing for them now. But they got some big schedules. They got Edina twice. They got Moorhead up in Moorhead. They got Wayzata. So they got some big games. So we'll see how Hill Murray does with this change. And number 4, Grand Rapids. And I like Grand Rapids. A lot of people, I don't know why, don't like them, but with their schedule at the end of the year, I think they're going to be a very hard team to beat. They got, they're going to have to play, let's see, they got Maple Grove, they got Hill, they got White Bear Lake, they got Wayzata, they got St. Thomas Academy, and they got Hermantown the rest of the year. So they got some big games. These are all, most of these teams are top ranked in the top 10. So that'll help Rapids at the end of the year. Maple Grove, they're number 5. Maple Grove I've liked all year long, and see what happens at the end of the year. They got Centennial in their section, so that'll be their toughest section game if they play each other. Number 6, Benil. Benil's been really hot, so they're catching on, but they only got 2 games that I see that are competitive games left in the season for them, so we'll see if that will help them or hurt them. I think it's going to hurt them. I always believe in a tough schedule for high school games, especially the second half of the year, to get them ready for the playoffs, because every team in Class AA has to play at least 4 tough games in a row, section finals, and all 3 games at state tournament. And most teams, usually the semifinal game in sections is tough too. So we'll see the teams that play tough schedule now, how they do. Number 7, Lakeville South. Another team that I like, but I can't put them up any higher because of their schedule. They have a pretty weak schedule, and we'll see if that hurts them. And number 8, Moorhead. Moorhead's a team that's very interesting, and they can do a lot of damage. They were up in Rapids and beat them in overtime, and they got a lot of juniors on that team that are very good and played in the Elite League. So that's a team that I really like in Section 8, and then their biggest competition is going to be Rosal, and that probably will be the 2 teams playing each other in the section finals. A team that can probably beat them is Elk River, and we'll give another team in there, St. Michael's, Albertville. So, but I like Moorhead's chances, and probably Rosal, those 2 teams playing in the section finals. Number 9, there we go, Rosal, and the small school, they're playing pretty good hockey, and they're playing some tough games, and we'll see if the Rink Rats up there in Rosal can take on Moorhead if they play each other and beat them in the sections. And number 10 came back into the top 10 is Gentry Academy, and they most likely will be playing Hill Murray in the section finals. Stillwater is another good team in that section. So 5 teams to watch. Centennial, like I said, is looking pretty good right now. They're playing tough, and they can beat any team in a given night. We got Edina. We got Holy Angels. We got Minnetonka. And let me see something here. I think I made a mistake there. The 5 teams to watch are Blaine, Centennial, Gentry Academy, Lakeville North, and Lakeville South. I'm sorry. So, and I think I made a mistake on the top 10. So we got Cretin number 1, Andover number 2, Hill number 3, Benil number 4, Moorhead number 5, Grand Rapids number 6, Maple Grove 7, Edina 8, Wayzata 9, Rosal 10. So I'm sorry I gave you some wrong numbers there. I had an old sheet here. So those are the top 10s. And the teams I really like at the end of the year here, I like Andover and Grand Rapids. I like Moorhead. I did like Hill Murray, but now I'm worried about their goaltending. I like Maple Grove, and I like Edina and Wayzata. So we'll see. Any of those teams can make it to the state. Over in Class A, well, of course we know Hermantown. They keep on rolling, and they got two big games this week. They got Tuesday at East Grand Forks makeup game down in Hermantown, and then they got Maple Grove coming in on Saturday afternoon. So Hermantown is my number one. If they can win these two games, oh, they got three games this week. They got Proctor too. But if they can win those three games, I tell you what, they're on their way to a great season, and I think the only team in their way is Royal Road. But Royal Road is 16-2, so they lost two games in the last couple weeks. They lost to Hermantown, and they lost Wayzata on last Saturday. So the last two Saturdays, but these are really good teams they played. So Royal Road will give them everything they have, because there was I think it was 2-1 overtime game up in Hermantown a week ago. Number 3, Montemita. Their record's not good, 8-7-1, but they probably have the best goalie in the state, Ben Dardis. And he keeps them in a lot of games when they shouldn't be in the game, because the teams are out shooting them 2-1. But I like this team just because of him. And no offense to Hermantown and Royal Road, they better not overlook Montemita and Ben Dardis. And he's a goalie, when he was a sophomore, beat Hermantown in the state championship game. So very good goalie. Number 4, Minneapolis. Number 5, Little Falls. Number 6, Delano. Number 7, Detroit Lakes. Number 8, Fergus Falls. Number 9, Duluth Denfield. And number 10, Mankato East. Denfield has Gentry coming in Friday night, so if you want to get to the Heritage Center, you'll see a good AA team playing Denfield. So that can be interesting. See where Denfield, they lost pretty big. They played one of their worst games of the year earlier in the season down there in the cities in Vadnais Heights. So, and then the 5 teams to watch: Alexandria, Cambridge, Chisago Lakes, let's see, Northfield, and Providence Academy. Okay, now we're coming down to the last 3 weeks of the regular season, and I'm looking over some of the big games. Like, I'm going to go over some of the teams that we have. Like number 1, Cretin. They got just EP, Eden Prairie, to play, and EP I don't have in my top 15, so it's a pretty weak schedule. Andover has Centennial, Maple Grove, and Grand Rapids left. I'm probably going to go up to Grand Rapids when Andover shows up there, because that can be the same game as the section finals down at Amsoil in Section 7 AA. So every hockey fans, if you're around Grand Rapids on the 8th of February, I'd get up there and see that game, because it's going to be a big game. Hill Murray, they just got done with Rapids. Now they got Tonka, St. Thomas Academy, Edina twice, Maple Grove, and Moorhead. So tough schedule, and that can help their team. So, but like I said before, their goalie left school. He's not coming back. And can their backup goalie do a steady job the rest of the season? Number 4, Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids they just got done with Moorhead. They lost in overtime to Moorhead. They tied Hill. Now they got Maple Grove, White Bear Lake, Wayzata, Andover, St. Thomas Academy, and Hermantown. Most of the games are up at the IRA Arena in Grand Rapids, so they got a very good schedule, and it's going to help them a lot, I think, by the time the section play starts in 3 weeks. Maple Grove, they have St. Thomas Academy, Hermantown, Grand Rapids, Andover, and Hill. So they got 5 big games left in their season that can help this team to get to state. And then number 6, Benil, which is playing very good right now. They have St. Thomas Academy, Holy Angels, and Montemita. So not too strong. So I don't know. We'll see if that can hurt them. They got a great coach, and their team is playing good right now. So let's see if they can continue that. But they have to go through Edina and Wayzata to get to state. Lakeville South is number 7, and their schedule is weak. But all they have to do probably is go through Lakeville North to make it to state. But there are 2 remaining games that might be competitive: is Lakeville North and Eastview. Number 8, Moorhead. Well, I'm sorry, Moorhead. They're number 5 really, but their games are Grand Rapids, Warroad, Rosal, and Hill. So they got 4 big games. Edina, they have tons of games left, and almost every game is a top game for them because they're in the Lake Conference, the toughest conference in the state of Minnesota, with Tonka, Eden Prairie, Wayzata, plus they play Benil, they play all kinds of games, Hill twice. So, I mean, almost every game is a tough game for them. They played Grand Rapids. So, I think Edina is a team to watch when it comes to sections, and I think they can go a long way. And Wayzata, the same thing. They play a lot of Lake Conference games now, and they just went up north and played real good and beat the Rosal and Warroad teams. So, a lot of games, big games left in the season in high school hockey, so get out to the rink and see some of these games. And I'm sorry, I was getting where some of these high school teams are ranked, but all these teams, the parity is right there. Any team can beat another team in the top, I say 20 teams for sure. And so get out there and see some hockey, and section play starts in 3 weeks. And I tell you what, it's the best time of the year, I say. So see you at the rink, and thank you, PACT-TV Studios, to Vicki, Jim, and Liz. And we'll see you next week, same time.